Hi, I'm Natalie Kolbeck, and I'm super, super thrilled to be here once again with Carolyn Dube for Creative Jumpstart 2020. I'm super excited to have her back for Creative Jumpstart. It's always a pleasure to see her work on her awesome videos, as well as chatting with Carolyn, because what you see, this like bright, colorful, and also look at her beautiful, beautiful shirt. That's what you get. She's a delight to talk to and a delight to look at her videos. But without further ado, hey, Carolyn, do you mind to tell us who you are and what you do as artwork?
Well, I am Carolyn Dube, which she just said, and my artwork is play. That it's play with color, play with whatever I have within arm's reach, play with stuff that's supposed to be art, stuff that's not supposed to be art, and I get great joy walking through hardware stores looking for cool things that you can play with. But it's really whatever I've got, whatever my mood is. So mixed media in the sense of I'll mix anything that I've got and see where it takes me.
That's super cool. So in the last couple months, I guess, you have done a lot of mono printing, right? That's like one of your main thing right now at this very moment.
Yeah.
And you've been using a lot of different media with it. What's your go-to media right now that you're using with your gelli plate?
The one, what is this one thing? Like, no. One, well, if I had to pick one, I would say paint, because, well, that's, and everything then goes with that. But pan pastels are so much fun on it, and alcohol inks are fun. Like, there's no limit to what you can put on that sucker. I've actually tried to ruin a gel plate. I mean, I actually am like actively trying to destroy one.
Yeah.
Yet to be able to do it. Like these things are like made by Fisher Price. They just take it. I don't have to take care of them carefully. It's like totally my kind of thing where I get to play and not focus on like this whole cleanup mess and taking care of stuff, because that's just not the fun part. So I just do the fun part. But yeah, very much just the gel plate. Oh, yes, it's been my happy place lately.
I see. So when you are there, and I think that's part of, if I would be asked that next question, but let's get it there. So Creative Jumpstart 2020, every year we have a theme. This year's theme is superpower. Speaking of artistic superpower, I think for, I mean, all the artists that are invited, I of course have my own like idea of what I think their superpower is, but I never say that because I want you guys to find your own. So what do you think is your, or is your artistic superpower? And if your real life superpower, or not real life, your art is still your real life, but I mean like your non-artistic superpower, right? In everyday life is different. What is that one?
So my artistic superpower is I screw stuff up. Like, that is my gift. I am talented with that, and I make mistakes right and left. And there was a time when I couldn't do that, and it was really an unhappy, like, it was just, art wasn't as much fun. Now I just screw stuff up, and if I actually don't screw stuff up, I'm like, oh, that wasn't as much fun. Because it really, there's something very freeing about I can screw this up and who cares. And then in real life, depending on who you talk to, they might say that's the same thing over there. But in general, my superpower is, I thought about it in life, is analogies. Is I can come up with analogies to explain stuff to people that I have mastered over the years between my husband and children that give me that look of, I don't understand what you mean about this. Why is that important? So it's very much analogies for me that I can connect any two dots, especially for some clueless people in my family, but they shall remain nameless. Yeah.
That is super awesome. So your artistic superpower about being able to screw up, and then I think the superpower that you also possess is actually then do something with that. Do you think that helped you in your non-artistic life too?
My kids so wish I'd figured this out when they were younger. Because, I figured it out a little bit after they were pretty much formed. And so I'm just like, oh, well, oops, it happens, we'll learn something from it. Let's move on. And they didn't get that when they were like in second grade. I'm like, you did what? What happened? And so, yeah, but it's just, I took things way too seriously. And so now I just say, oops, it's an outstanding opportunity presenting suddenly. And I just can't take this too seriously. I'm like, oh, yeah, so you put your brush in the wrong color. Yeah, okay, that's ugly. Next thing, I mean, it's also why I'll never be a true watercolorist, because there's like, what you see is what you get. And when you layer on top, it's just hard to cover stuff up. I need my layers, really need my layers. So yeah, but no, it's you make mistakes, and I remember every mistake is an opportunity. And when you're in that spot where you're just really worked up, you're like, I screwed this up, I've messed this up. The whole thing is running through your head that for the next 1,000 years you're going to screw this up. You've never gotten it right, like this ridiculous narrative. And it's when somebody says those uplifting words to you, you're just like. And then you need to be really proud of your self-control for not blurting out what you want.
Yeah.
And so I really had to train myself to not do that to myself. And that's where oops came in, because I'm like, okay, you screwed it. It's paper. It's paper. I have not, just in case anybody's wondering, been commissioned to update the Sistine Chapel yet. So I don't have that kind of pressure. So it's just paper. I can just screw stuff up, and who cares? It's paper. Or I love to work on cardboard for that same reason, because it's like, it's cardboard. It's a box. But yeah, it's comical, the pressure that we put on ourselves, that we create those stories. And so I just have a lot of fun now just screwing stuff up. Like if I'm not messing stuff up enough, I actually intentionally do it, because it's just not as much fun. If it was according to plan, I'm like, oh, okay.
It's funny that I think a lot of a lot of people, or not a lot of people, but sometimes once in a while you have a student who's like really, really it's really challenging when something happens that wasn't planned, or for whatever reason, they dipped the brush in the wrong color, or things are not behaving the way that they thought it would behave, as in media, or it doesn't look the way how they wanted it to look like. So all these different things that can come into place. And I always think about how we want to, or a lot of people of us, we strive to be so perfect in our everyday life, or we have to be so perfect. Why would you, put this strain onto yourself in your hobby and your artwork? Mm-hmm. But the funny thing is that I actually learned about letting go in my professional life before I became an artist, because I was a paralegal. And when you're working in a law office and you're working on cases, things never go the way you planned it. Like things never, things always happen, and emergencies happen, and, something that you have thought through might just not go the way you wanted it, because the other side might throw in a total new thing that you haven't known when you were planning things, right? So I think I learned in my law office work as 17 years that, you always have to readjust yourself like constantly and rethink things constantly. And so it's funny because I come from this highly organized way, of working professionally into this, and I find that analogy there, and I don't have a problem. What I do enjoy is that I don't hurt anyone with whatever I do next. Mm-hmm. There's no, as you said, then comes my same thing that you say, oh, it's just paper. Like, I can't screw up someone's life here. It's just paper. So it's way easier to deal with it, right? So.
Yeah, I always, when I'm teaching, I always tell people, like, yeah, that's why you don't want me as your cardiac surgeon, because this attitude does not fly.
Right, even worse, right?
like no. Like, yeah, I can't imagine with the pressure if it actually hit somebody's, future hinged on it.
Right, but that's why I think it's so important for people, and that's why I think your message is so important and so wonderful and resonates to a lot of people, is because, do this in your hobby and your artwork, like embrace that you can do this and say, oops, and, go along with it, because where else can you usually do that? So if you have not taken a class with Carolyn, or haven't checked her out, not figured her out. You can figure her out too.
If you can figure me out, let me know. And my husband would love to know too. He would love to know the road.
Let her family know if you figured it out. No, but like, follow her on Instagram or on Facebook. What's your handle, by the way, when people are looking for you? How can they find you on social media?
A lot of times it's Carolyn Dube, but I don't. There's another Carolyn Dube that is not in art, and occasionally she'll like, here's all the art stuff. I'm like, so if it looks like I'm either a marathon runner or a city council person, that's not me.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
It's also Carolyn Dube.
But yeah, if they look for Carolyn Dube, they'll find me. As we all have those different names, and if I'd really mapped everything out, I'd have the exact same handle or name everywhere. But
of course,
I think on one I'm like C Dube, on one I'm Carolyn Dube. I'm like, ah. But if you put in Carolyn Dube, usually, and if it looks colorful and painty, it's me. If it's again the marathon runner or the city council person, not me.
Yeah. Gotcha. So yeah, check her out, Carolyn Dube, or I think sometimes she also goes as a colorful journey. I will post, if you are on the website, I will post all the links to Carolyn's handles and whatever they call it, the thing where you find them. So Carolyn, speaking of your gorgeous background and your wonderful shirt that I want to rip off you and have it, is I'm always struck how amazingly colorful your artwork is, and is there and when you watch her doing her stuff, when you watch Carolyn doing her stuff, it's like it comes so naturally, right? Probably because also of her approach to it. Whatever happens. But did you ever felt intimidated by color? Was there ever a time where you felt intimidated by it?
Oh yeah. So I'm completely self-taught in the sense that I haven't had any kind of formal training. And so there's a lot of trial and error, and you start looking at things and you see what other people you do, and you kind of go, oh, okay, they use brown, so brown is the color. And when you stand there in the aisle, there are all these browns and all of these like hunter greens and burgundies, and I was like, okay, I would buy all the colors. And I actually thought in the beginning, like, well, you're supposed to buy all the colors. And I found I never used them. Like I didn't enjoy using them. I felt bottled up when I used them. And once I ditched those and went with the colors that made me happy, all of a sudden things opened up a lot more. And through that play, as I started to figure out what I liked about some colors, what I didn't like about others, why yellow is the most persnickety color on this planet. So I'd buy certain paints. And when I started, I bought the really cheap, like they were cheap paints, because I mean, like that tube of artist paint, like that was just too much pressure.
Yeah.
So I'd buy these cheap ones, and when you buy really cheap, I mean, we're talking like, this is going to date me here, but like the 49-cent tubes of paint, and you take yellow and you take blue and you mix them, you don't always get green.
Right.
Like I'm like, how do yellow and blue not make green? Like how? And it was through a lot of experimentation that I learned that, okay, what are the differences between things? And it's just through that, I mean, just screwing stuff up over and over again. Oh, that's why that happened. Oh, that happened again. Quit doing that. And that's how I figured out what I really like. And it's only a couple of years ago, I actually got rid of every tube of brown paint. I donated them off to a craft resale place and said, I'm done. Like, I'm over it. I don't want to use brown. And I kind of joked. I thought, now that I've gotten rid of it all, I'm probably going to go through a brown phase. Because that's how it works, right? Once we clear everything out, then it's like, I really want that. Still hasn't happened. And I have a couple of friends that keep trying to convince me about the greatness of brown. And in their stuff, I think it's fantastic. And it's about everybody finding their own color palette, the thing that makes them happiest. And for me, it's like, taste the rainbow is totally what brings me joy when I'm playing. So yeah, it wasn't always that way. There was a lot of like, what color should I put here? And what are the rules about this? And then I realized, I'm like, oh, who needs rules?
Actually, no, that makes me think that would be an awesome Creative Jumpstart theme one year. And it's like, use what you hate.
Let's just say, yeah.
Let's just say I will remember then that it's brown, but I hope you will still join us.
if you bury it under enough other stuff, it's palatable. It's kind of like that vegetable you hated that your mother made, but if you put enough other stuff with it, you can make it work.
It's true. I mean, it might change too, right? Like I always say, it's so funny that as a kid, I was such a tomboy boy. I really didn't want to wear anything pink or, you know, rosé. I really disliked it because it was such a gender specific color for me. And now I'm like, oh, I like maroon and like pink and I wear it. And so things changed. I still do not like big chunks of cooked carrot though.
Still haven't warmed up to those, huh?
Nah. So we talked about it a little bit, and I know you didn't want to answer that really because you said you don't have one. But is there like right now in this very moment, it can be in this hour or today, is there any favorite types of mixed media supplies that you use right now, or are you going through phases where you use different materials and you stuck to it for a little bit and then you go to the next one? What would it be if so?
So when I was a kid, my parents were pretty sure I was going to be homeless, and because I would never be able to hold down a job because I would bounce from idea to idea, and I didn't, you know, I tried this, I'm a dabbler. Let me try this, let me try this, let me try that. And so they, of course, for spent years freaked out about this. And I do the same thing in my art. So I play with this, so everything goes in phases. There's up and down and this and that. But there are only really two things that have never ridden the wave of up and down. And that's the gel plate and stencils. Mm. Those two things continue to bring me joy. They continue to show me new ways to use them. And I see those two things as paintbrushes.
Yeah.
Way, you know, you don't go, well, I haven't used this paintbrush in a while, I'm going to get rid of it. You know, what's the point? The gel plate, the more I use it, the more I learn about it. The stencils, I've yet to run out of ideas of ways to use them. Like there's always something more. There's another way that you can use those. And so those two have never come and gone. But other stuff like, oh, my paper punch phase, wow, yeah, that was a big one. And a big heavy phase, man, those suckers are big. But stickers came and went, and things will come back in favor. And what I found interesting is the gel plate and stencils let me use a lot of the things that come and go. So, right, you know, paint is really the medium that never has left. And watercolors come and go, but you can use those with stencils. Mm-hmm. All those kinds of, to me, it's stencils and gel plates. Those are the ones that I can't live without. On a deserted island, that's what I need. The other stuff, I could take it or leave it, or it depends on the phase.
Did you just recently try something totally new as an art medium that you're like, oh, I actually really like that and will use it more?
Well, there's something I have been doing. So a lot of times, like, you remember the old commercial for the Reese peanut butter cups where you've got chocolate and my peanut butter? And so these two people bump into each other, and this person drops their chocolate bar and their peanut butter, and they're like, wow, these two taste great together.
Right.
And so I will frequently kind of do that, like, oh, let's put these two things together. And so, yeah, there is something that I've been playing with lately. Actually, it's going to be in my Creative Jumpstart lesson, so I cannot tell too much. But it's peanut butter in my chocolate kind of thing. And I'm like, I think I really like this. And I once I stumbled into it, it was an oops. And I'm like, yeah. And now I've just been doing a bunch of it. So I'm just going to stay mum's the word on that one until.
Okay, I can't wait to find out. Wow. Did you hear that? She's making us like, oh, can't wait. Hopefully I will be the first one to see it. That's like the treasure of the day every time I get a video from you guys for Creative Jumpstart, because of course I get to see those a little bit earlier than anyone else. And, it's always like, oh my God, this is so cool. And then I'm like, I gotta go in the studio. I can't do this. I can't show anyone what's happening here, So I love your focus on letting go and play. But do you have any tips for viewers that might have really a hard time to loosening up what they do? Like, I know it's sometimes it's hard to describe what we do because it comes so intuitively to us, or we just think we do it. But is there anything that you can think of that besides like, hey guys, it's just paper, don't cry over spilled milk. Is there anything else that you can say as a tip, as an approach to it?
Laugh about it. It's just don't take it so seriously. So that's why I love to work on junk mail, cardboard, because it's hard to, like, if you don't like it, throw it away. I'm like, okay, just get that pressure off however you can. If you happen to be using paint that's like $3,000 for a little bottle, that's a lot of pressure.
Right.
Use no pressure. Use cardboard, and then when it doesn't go the way you expect, just say oops. And when you're really angry and you say oops, and if you say it in this really angry voice, it's ridiculous. I mean, sometimes try it when you're like really mad. Go oops. I mean, it's just you can't take yourself seriously. It like knocks you out of that, because it's just this crazy loop in our head. Again, it's not like we're refinishing the Mona Lisa. It's not. But in our heads, it is. It's like this big deal, and we're like, oh, people will see it. I'm like, there's nobody in the room. He's gonna see it. It's just that you just gotta knock yourself out of the crazy. And so for me, it's humor is the way I do it. And so it's taken me a while of saying oops, and I had to really think about saying oops.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's an opportunity. I don't know how. Somehow there's an opportunity in something that's ugly. Okay. And now it's so automatic, it just happens. But it took a while of just consciously saying, so like print out oops and just post it up near where you're working to remind you, like, don't take this so seriously. But yeah, for me, it's laughter. I have to laugh at it because it's ridiculous. This stuff through my head, so.
No, I love that. That is a great tip, and I think it's so true. And I also think that you've mentioned something very important, I think, here, and that was you might feel embarrassed when someone else sees it. And I think that a lot of us are struggling with that problem, especially since we're in this world of sharing a lot of stuff online. And, it's this, I'm kind of like tired of just like have like this feeling of, that's just not how I live. I don't live in a perfect world with perfect, everything clean and everything works well. In fact, Carolyn could attest to that the beginning of our interview was anything but perfect for many reasons.
That makes it real, though. That makes it genuine.
Hey, Carolyn, you're the most important person right now, but I have to take this call right in front of you. I'm so sorry.
Hey, man, when the contractor calls, you take that call. Like, no,
so I'm just saying, like, it's such a burden that somehow, we all might feel that everything has to be so perfect. And lately, I've been like, that's not how life works. Like, we are not everything that we make is perfect. Not everything that we go through is perfect. And I'm actually thinking it's okay to really also show the things that don't work that well, because that way we don't have this like weird, how do you say that, world that doesn't exist, around you. And it makes it feel that people look at artists or teachers often and they think they make no mistake or ugly stuff. And I think you and I agree that there's a lot of stuff that goes in the bin, man.
Well, and with art, like, it's, with art, there's something about it that makes it so hard to share.
Yeah.
Because so I'd also like to introduce my dog, Chewy, who, he's just, the neighborhood is all conversing. All the dogs are having a little powwow, and they're all just so, hopefully they're done talking soon. But no, when you share your art, it's like sharing a little piece of your soul.
Yeah.
And if somebody says, I don't like it, it's so personal. It's like you've really sort of splayed yourself open and given a random stranger a chance to attack you. And it can be really scary if you're not really comfortable with who you are. Because there's some people that really don't like what I do. They don't understand it. They're just like, but it doesn't look like a flower, or it doesn't, and I'm like, I'm much more processed. So people that are very end result oriented, sometimes they look at my stuff and they cringe because they're like, I don't get it. And that used to scare me. But now I'm like, it's just not for you. Like, it's not going to be for everybody. And so when we share stuff, there is just a level of fear. Like, even in a friends, you know, it's such a level of trust to put a piece of your soul out there and hope somebody doesn't step on it.
Right.
And with our art, it's so personal.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. Authentic too. Natalie likes to interrupt because she's sorry. No, I'm actually just reading a book. It's called Viewing Slowly, and it's about how to look at artwork. Just a different, like, not different. I actually agree about it. Very smart book if you want to read something really interesting and that speaks to. I think a lot of it speaks to you too. And it's about that we all kind of like go for what was the intention of the artist and what do they want to say, blah blah blah. And the thing is, like, it doesn't really matter what the artist want to tells you. It's about how you can relate to the artwork and what you see in the artwork if you really look to it. And maybe you don't relate to it, but it reflects on it. It's the viewer. It's not you, right? So if I put it out and the viewer's like, this doesn't resonate with me at all, it's not actually something that you're like, oh my God, this is horrible. Like, I'm not bringing over the message. It's just the person has different experiences and different, you know, like if someone says, I really dislike this painting, and they don't really say why, but let's say they say, he brought that up as an example, and he said, they dislike it like it's mostly red painting, and they just don't like it. Maybe it's because the guy who bullied him in school has always had a red sweater, or you know, like there could be so many reasons why something doesn't resonate with you, or you were taught to not to be like very resourceful, and like seeing a lot of material on something might make you cringe and just go totally like not with what you're thinking, or you know, there's so many reasons. So I thought it was also very interesting, and that when you think about that, that made me feel more like, oh, maybe, you know, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it matters, of course, we always are, as you said, we put something out of ourselves, but maybe it's also sometimes when you're very upset about what someone else says about what you're doing, you just think about it as, you know, maybe that person, that's just like what's going on from their experience and their personal life, that why they can't like wrap their head around something that you like. So yeah, interesting book. I highly recommend it.
I hadn't heard of that one. I'm going to check that one out. Thank you.
Yeah. So that was super, super fun, Carolyn. I always love talking with you, and you actually made my Monday, which was very struggling this morning. So this made it all better, and I laughed a lot. Thank you so much.
Good,
and I
good.
can't wait to see your video for Creative Jumpstart. Make sure you sign up for Creative Jumpstart using Carolyn's link, and she will appreciate that. And you're up for a treat, actually a treat we all don't know yet what it's going to be.
And thank you for putting this all together, because it's a lot of work to coordinate this, make it happen, handle it. You know what you're doing. You've been doing this for how many years now?
It's the 9th time we're doing this.
I mean, you've got it from the artist working on it. Everything is mapped out. It's clear. It is an easy thing to work with. And so from the artist point of view, I really appreciate it. And I know the people that participate love having it so well organized, clearly explained. So thank you for all that hard work.
Thank you, guys. You make it easy for me and make me love it a lot more. Okay, see you soon, Caroline. Thank you.
Bye.